Welcome to Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, the show where you get the inside access to the best minds in the game. Each week, Chris has the privilege of chatting with top instructors, legendary players, course architects, and industry insiders. If you're looking to improve your game, gain a new perspective, or just hear some incredible golf stories, you are indeed in the right place.
You see, Chris, let me tell you something, I haven't spoken to a press man in my life that is knowledgeable, seriously, as you are. Never.
You do such a great job. It kind of makes me feel good all of a sudden.
You do so much for the game. You're so kind to all of us that are out there in the game. You know, we need more people like you in the game of golf.
Thank you for pressing play. Now, grab your clubs, step up to the tee, and let's get started. This is Next on the Tee.
Hi, folks, and welcome into this edition of Next on the Tee, where golf legends live and your game gets better. I'm your host, Chris Mascaro, and as I say all the time, I can't thank each and every one of you enough. I appreciate you being here and pressing play on this episode. So excited about it. I get to share with you this time two wonderful friends, one that's been on the show a couple of dozen times now and is very dear to me, and a new friend who's joining me for the very first time, who happens to be the son of my gumba, Rob Strano, and that's Steve Strano. We'll talk more about Steve in detail in just a moment, but I hope this is the first of many visits that Steve does with me here on the show. First up is going to be my wonderful friend, Matthew Lawrence. You guys know how much I love Matthew. Became a hero of mine back in the 80s when I saw him playing Salamato, the fictionary bass player, in the movie Eddie and the Cruisers, which is, as you guys know, one of my top 5 all-time favorite movies. Matthew and I became acquainted over social media. Then I was blessed to have him over on the football side on our show Thursday Night Tailgate. All of those appearances over there led to us becoming friends, and now I'm very blessed that he is a very dear friend. This time around, I get Matthew's thoughts on the direction the PGA Tour appears to be going in, which is 180 degrees from the mantra around the game over the last few years, which has been growing the game. You'll hear his thoughts on that. You'll also learn why Seve became Matthew's all-time favorite player, which, of course, led to his disappointment at what happened at the 86 Masters. Then we'll also go back and talk more about his role in Eddie and the Cruisers and what it feels like to him when he's out driving around and On the Dark Side comes on the radio. Special moment for Matthew. So we'll talk about all of those things and a lot more when he joins me here in just a few moments. Following him, like I said, is Steve Strano. He makes his Next on the Tee debut. So, look, when you're the son of Rob Strano, who is just a wonderful human being, you know Steve is going to be great, and he doesn't disappoint. He is an enterprising young man who found his way to a legendary brand of putters that had been all but forgotten about for decades and was out there left for dead, and he is helping to resurrect it from being on life support. What brand are we talking about? Well, it's Otey putters. O-T-E-Y is how you spell it, from the great Otey Chrisman. Look, that brand helped legends like Jimmy DeMeritt, Dr. Kerry Middlecoff, Jackie Burke Jr., and Doug Ford win 5 Masters between 1947 and 1957. While we're talking, go check out these wonderful putters online at O-T-E-Y, and then spell out the number 3, T-H-R-E-E.com, Otey3.com. Steve is very passionate about the brand. His enthusiasm got me all pumped up about him during the course of our conversation. The putters are still handcrafted in their original factory in Selma, Alabama, by the son of former PGA Tour pro Otey Chrisman III. You can get your hands on one as well and see what we're talking about by going on that website. So you're going to love Steve and the way that he tells the story, and like I say, the passion and enthusiasm in his voice. So stay tuned for segment 2 of this week's show. But folks, as always, thank you for being here and pressing play on this week's show. Sit back, relax. Let us take your mind off everything else going on in your life for, I'd say the next 90 minutes or so. All right, but before we continue and get into the rest of the show, I want to start off by giving a shout out to my great friends over at the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review. TribLive.com is the leading news website for Western Pennsylvania with news around the clock. Pittsburgh pro sports coverage, a high school sports network, a podcast network, which you can find Next on the Tee on. So go out and bookmark TribLive.com or download the Trip Live app for free and stay up to date with all the news in Western Pennsylvania and this show. I also want to talk about our friends over at the Pittsburgh Brewing Company and Iron City Beer, a brand that I have loved my whole life and started drinking when I was 21 years old, of course. Whether you're a hacker or a scratcher, the secret to a successful day on the links is knowing when it's time to grab an iron, even if that means keeping it in the bag till the 19th hole. If it's been a while since you've reached for Pittsburgh staple beer, it's time to revisit Iron City. Thanks to their incredible new facility in Creighton, the best-tasting Iron City beer ever made is now available at a course near you. Iron City pairs well with any lie and sky and serves as a friendly reminder that there's always next round. And because it's never too early for chocolate, their double chocolate Bock is back for the season, and it's the perfect companion for a cozy winter evening. Check out all of their wonderful beers and their gift shop online by going to pittsburghbrewing.com. And this year, get ready to experience a game like never before at the Keep, the brand new Bill Bergen and Reese Jones co-designed course at Macklemore. Nestled high atop Lookout Mountain, the Keep offers breathtaking vistas that are made even more spectacular as the autumn colors paint the landscape in rich hues of red, orange, and gold. With its challenging layout and awe-inspiring views, every round here is an unforgettable adventure. Whether you're taking on the signature holes or just soaking in the scenery, the Keep is where your best golf meets nature's finest backdrop. So grab your clubs and join us up at Macklemore. The Keep is open and it's waiting for you. Okay, now back in Next on the Tee with me is one of my all-time favorite actors, radio hosts, and people on the planet for that matter, and that is Matthew Lawrence. As you guys know, Matthew is the host of Backspin Golf, which you've heard me talking about for years because it's fantastic and the best way to start your Sunday mornings. The show is on hiatus right now, but during the golf season, you can listen to it starting at 8:03 a.m. Eastern Time on ESPN Radio WLXG over in Lexington, Kentucky, or online at WLXG.com. He also has a daily show that you can tune into from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Time called The Matthew and Jimmy Show. Going back to 2020, Matthew was recognized by the Kentucky section of the PGA of America as their media representative of the year. Among his other great works on the big screen is his stellar performance as bass player Sal Amato in one of my all-time favorite movies, Eddie and the Cruisers. You've probably also seen him on Saturday Night Live, Beverly Hills 90210, One Tree Hill, or 30-something. He has been the sideline reporter and the pre- and post-game host for Duke basketball and now over at Kentucky basketball. And like I say each and every time I get the honor of having him on the show, as far as stars go, they don't come bigger or better than Matthew Lawrence. Hey, Matthew, how are you, my friend?
I don't even know what to say anymore. Every time I join you and you go through that whole thing, I look around seeing who you're talking about. That's because otherwise I'm exhausted from everything that I've done. Oh boy. Hi, yeah. Chris.
Hi. All right, so let's jump right into it because I got a lot I want to get through with you today. And I want to start off by getting your thoughts on what's going on the PGA Tour. Because the last few years, the mantra around all of golf has been grow the game. And now we have Brian Rolapp and Tiger trying to feed us that reducing the number of tour events in 2027, perhaps down to 20 events, with fewer players in the field, no cut, those 20 tournaments all being signature events. The other tournaments getting, relegated to the fall when nobody watches, or maybe even all the way down to the Korn Ferry Tour, cutting the number of tour cards from 125 down to 100. All of those things sound better for the fans and probably better for the players, especially from a monetary perspective, because we're going to get to see the stars in every event, and they'll certainly make more money. I'm not sure it's better for the guys ranked anywhere from 171 to 126 because they may not get in. To me, Matthew, fewer spots means they're creating a bottleneck at the top, which equals fewer players getting out onto the PGA Tour, fewer opportunities for younger players to make a name for themselves and get out there. I don't know. It doesn't sound like growing the game to me.
Yes, that's my answer. That's funny. You took the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's what's really interesting, Chris, and because I'm an old guy now, not mentally or in my soul, but in terms of years, I got a late start playing golf. I was 31 when I started playing, and that is 4 decades and change ago, as hard as that is to believe. But in all the time that I've played golf and have now been doing backspin golf and watching golf, I've been fortunate to play in, I don't know, 100 celebrity golf tournaments. It's the major part of my life outside of my family. Everything in my world really came about because I played golf. My life would be totally different if I didn't. I'm at a point, and it's been like this for a while. I think the last time even that I spoke to you, I might have said this. I don't watch the PGA Tour anymore. I mean, of course I watch the majors and I'll watch the players, and I don't watch the John Deere or pick a tournament. I might tune in for a little while on Sunday, but I would much rather watch the DP World Tour and the LPGA and amateur golf than the PGA Tour. I haven't liked what's happened with the tour for a while. And now, as you just said, that whole growing the game is, pardon my French, BS. Because anytime you're taking tour spots away from guys trying to make it on the PGA Tour, you're not growing the game. I don't really care that much. I mean, I like certain golfers, and you know me well enough to know that there are some I can't stand. But do I enjoy watching Sam Burns play golf? Yeah, I do. There are guys I enjoy watching, but I can tell you, I would much rather watch somebody trying to qualify for the PGA Tour in Q school than watch the PGA Tour itself. I'd rather watch a really great Corn Ferry event on a Sunday because of how life-changing it is for somebody that wins. Those are the stories I want to see now and hear now, and those are being taken away from us big time. I mean, big time. Even, they're reducing the full field events from 156 to 144. Take that away. The players is going to be 120. You mentioned all the different things with the players with the FedEx Cup points. There are going to be 3 groups now of guys from 101 to 150, 3 separate groups, and they're not going to have complete access. Nobody's going to know what's going on from week to week. And the worst thing to me is that there will no longer be Monday qualifying for most of these events. And you and I both know our friend Ryan French of
Right.
Monday Q Info, who has just for years covered this like no one on the planet. Those are the greatest stories in golf. And it's hard to me. It's heartbreaking, actually, that there aren't going to be Monday qualifiers anymore. Restricted exemptions for the Corn Ferry Tour and the DP World Tour. There's all kinds of things like that. There used to be 30 Corn Ferry Tour cards given out. There were 20 this year given out. In every way, they're reducing it. And as you said, Tiger and the tour itself and all these guys, well, it'll be better because we'll get to see the top play. I don't care. I don't care about seeing the top players. I really don't, unless it's the Ryder Cup or the President's Cup or anyway. I agree with you. Everything you said.
So do you not watch the PGA Tour because you just don't care? Is it because of the way the PGA Tour has handled itself over the last couple of years? Is it a personality? You just don't see anybody that's like lighting your fire like Tiger used to?
I think it's all those things, Chris. I really do. I think it's all those things. There are great guys who are playing on the PGA Tour now. guys that in the last couple years we've seen, and I'm not talking about Scotty. I'm talking about, oh, I don't know, Seve Straka. There are great players on the PGA Tour. I don't have the interest in watching it for all those reasons. And here's another thing, since now you got me wound up. I haven't listened when I do watch. It has the mute button has been on the entire time. That's another thing that contributes to all this for me. It's unlistenable, the broadcasts. And almost all of them. Are there exceptions? Yes, there are. Dottie, Pepper, Karen Stupples. There are exceptions. But you give me most of the guys, this is what they do. We're watching the PGA Tour, and somebody hits a shot to 3 feet on a hole. And I have Steve Sands, to pick a name, who says to me, what a really good shot. It comes up 3 feet from the hole. And you know what I yell at the TV?
I can imagine.
I'm watching it, you idiot.
I saw that.
They tell me this is not PGA Tour radio on Sirius, which is great. We're watching it on TV. Oh, he hit it in the bunker. I know. I just saw him hit it in the bunker. Anyway, it just, that contributes to all of it. And if you listen to the commentary on the DP World Tour, for example, it's fantastic. It's brilliant. It's not forced. It's not obvious. It's not, everybody calling each other by their nicknames and all the things we have going on. It's great. I love getting up on a Sunday morning early. I get up early anyway, but putting the DP World Tour final round on a Sunday morning and listening to them, actually listening to them. I love the LPGA. I love watching the LPGA, and I love amateur golf as well. I just don't really care that much about the PGA Tour anymore. And I think a lot of it has to do with Live and when everything happened with Live. And that's a whole other
We'll get into that in a
wax.
second.
Oh, okay. All right, good.
But I echo what you said, because to me, the best broadcast on the radio for the entire year is the Open, and listening to the team that broadcasts the Open from
Sky Sports.
Yeah, they're the best.
Yeah, absolutely, 1,000%.
Yeah.
And that's because we're not. I mean, most of the time, I think you do it too now. I'll have it on TV, and if they're at all following what's going on with their TV coverage, I'll turn that down and put on, if I get in the car, I'm right away on Sirius and listening to Sky Sports call it.
Yeah.
Because it's so fantastic. It's great.
Agreed. All right, so let's touch on that whole Live thing, because here's where I feel like things are warming up, Matthew.
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked to some of the other guests this week about this very topic. We've seen a lot of young talent forego the PGA Tour to go over to Live. Those young players have won international tournaments recently. We've talked about how David Puig won the Australian PGA. He plays on Live. Tom McKibben, who plays on Live, won the Hong Kong Open. Peter Uihlein, who went over there, finished second in the Singapore Open. Scott Vincent won the Australia or the Asian Tours International Series. So as much as we want to discount Live and we hate Live for what it is and who's behind it, and pretend that any day now Live's going to go away, we're sure this time they're going to go away. I can't tell you, Matthew, how many times people supposedly in the industry, they'll never get a season 2. They'll never get a season 3. Oh, the announcement's going to come out on Monday. They're going away. They're not going anywhere. But I feel like what's starting to warm up is they're going to go and partner with the DP World Tour instead of the PGA Tour, because they're going to create this huge, you know how Greg Norman once upon a time wanted to have that big World Tour. I think they're going to go over to the DP World Tour and say, hey, let's get together here, Because I feel like they're warming up because a lot of the live players still play in those DP World Tour events. So I'm feeling like we're starting to see the beginnings of those two entities getting together.
Well, we may. And a lot of, aside from the political aspect of all of it, I have never for 1 second considered live golf anything more than an exhibition. I don't care how much, if they get 4 million for a win, I don't care. There's no cut. It's 54 holes and it's a scramble. I don't, if they go with the DP World Tour, they will not do that. The DP
we know
World Tour.
They're going to 72 holes this year. So
Yeah, of course they are. Are they still doing a scramble? I mean, how people feel like they compare regular tournaments that we're used to any tournament where the players are not starting on number 1 or 10 and going in consecutive holes. It's not a golf tournament. I'm sorry. It just isn't. And all the players, if you're starting on, listen, like I said, I played in 100 celebrity golf tournaments and almost all of them are scrambles, where you start on a different hole. It ain't fun. I mean, it's fun being out there, but when you start on 13 and you're out on the back 9, and then you got to come around and you play 18 and then you go to 1 and then 9 and, oh, wait, I have 10, 11, and 12 to keep playing. Maybe the weather is different from when the leaders have played those holes. It's not the same thing. You know what I mean. I don't have to explain it. Anyway, so I don't know what Liv has in store with the DP World Tour. I don't know. And, we'll wait. It's possible. We'll wait and see. I'm so old, though, that I might not even remember golf is on anymore if I have to wait much longer. Oh, boy.
Yeah. All right. So enough of all that. Let's look back in time a few dozen years, as you indicated earlier.
Okay.
Seve is your all-time favorite player.
Correct.
Why did you gravitate to Seve?
It's a great question. I picked him out because I loved sports. I wasn't playing golf, but I was watching golf. I picked him out. The world showed him to me, and I just fell in love with him. The style he played with, how handsome he was, how everything about him just hit a note in me. Like I said, I wasn't even playing golf yet. And it just, once I started playing, it got even bigger. And I have always when I got my first computer, I don't even remember what year it was, the first email address I had contained the word Seve in it. This is a long time ago, Chris, and it still does. I have never changed it. That's how long it's been that I've idolized Seve. And I get choked up when I think about his impact and his effect on golf, even today, after we lost him so tragically years ago. Think about the Ryder Cup. Think about everything he means to the European golfers. I mean, he single-handedly brought Europe into the world of golf worldwide, single-handedly. And it's hard for me to watch the Ryder Cup sometimes when they're showing the features and talking about, what the European team talked about. And it's always about Seve, always. He's just always gotten to me. And he never did anything like so many of our heroes. We find out things about them kind of later on, and it's disappointing, sometimes heartbreaking. Never with Seve, Not one thing with Seve.
So many of us revere the 86 Masters as the greatest golf tournament ever. I'm guessing you weren't so happy about how it turned out.
No, I wasn't. Thank you. I wasn't. Although I recognize how incredible it was, and for all the reasons, obviously, I was heartbroken, to be honest with you. I really was. I was heartbroken. But, it would have been worse if Seve had never won a green jacket.
Yeah.
So that lessens it a little bit. And that what Jack did was amazing. But I was a little disappointed, I'll say.
Matthew, earlier this week, I had John Inman back on the show, and I know you mentioned to me
Oh.
before that you and John are friends, which I think are probably more friendly rivals as the guy that used to do Duke basketball and the guy that used to coach UNC.
Yeah. Well, see, this goes back a long time. But I did radio for Duke basketball for 10 years. That's my family. It still is today. John Shire is like a son to me. And when I was living in Durham, I got very friendly with John and his wife. I love his wife. I don't really care that much about John, and he knows that. I always said it to him. But he is a wonderful, incredible guy, and it shows how great he must be as a person if I wanted anything to do with him. Because to say I don't like, on my daily show, when we talk about them, Kentucky basketball just played them in basketball. You are not allowed on my show to call them the Tar Heels. I call them the Tar Holes. and it's known on my show. I have a list of teams and athletes where you're not allowed to mention their name on my show. That's how I feel about that school. So it must say something about John and how great he is that I would even associate with him. That's how I feel.
So staying in North Carolina, a place that you and I were two ships that passed in the night and didn't realize it is several years ago. I went up to volunteer at the Jimmy V Classic. It was held at North Carolina State's home golf course, Lonnie Pool, which is an Arnold Palmer design. You and Mitch were both there playing in the tournament. So, did you know Jimmy V? Did you get to know him over the years?
Oh, boy, Chris, you've really opened it up now. I just, and as I talk about, I'm a sap. I cry at dog food commercials. So if I get a little choked up here, you'll understand why. And it was just the anniversary. It's Jimmy V week on ESPN all week and all that stuff. When my brother Mitchie, as I lovingly call him, my twin brother, who you know and love as I do,
indeed,
when we were, how can I say this without sounding conceited? We were great basketball players. We were really good in high school. We had several really good scholarship offers. And there was an assistant coach. We grew up on Long Island. And there was an assistant coach at Rutgers named Jim Valvano at the time. And he really wanted Mitchie and I to go to Rutgers. And every Saturday, here it comes. Sorry.
That's okay.
Every Saturday, he would come up during our senior season in the fall. He would come and sit with our dad at practice and watch us practice every Saturday. And we decided that we didn't want to go to Rutgers. And that's where we met Jim Valvano. And this is the great part. He becomes Jimmy V. This was in 1968. We met him.
Wow.
Lord God, I'm so old. And 20 years later, in 1988, Mitchie and I are now big shots, and we're we're we're. I have to laugh at that. We're playing at the celebrity golf event in Hilton Head, and we get to the weekend, and on Friday night, the party. Oh, you're gonna die! At the party, we walked into the big ballroom where the party was, and we look, and at one table is PJ Carlissimo, Jim Boeheim, couple other coaches, and Jim Valvano at the
Wow.
same table. And all those guys, PJ and Boeheim, we became very close to them. This table was insane, and they were laughing and all kind. And Mitchie and I said, "Do you think he'll remember us?" So we walked up to the table, and we stood there, and Jimmy turned around and he looked at us, and one of us, I can't remember which one of us, said, "Hey, Coach, Mitchell and Matthew Lawrence, I don't know if you remember us." And Jimmy said, "Remember you? How many sets of white Jewish twins do you think I recruited?" And that's where it started. And that whole weekend, I don't think I've ever laughed that hard for 2.5 days straight. Because we just hung out with those guys. And as I said, PJ and Jimmy Boeheim, and we were still are very close. But I knew Jimmy, yes. In answer to your question, we knew Jimmy and his incredible family, his wife Pam, and his children, Nicole and Jamie, who still run the foundation. They do all the foundation work. And when you think about what his life became after he left us, and how they've affected so many hundreds of thousands of people with the work that they do, it's just staggering. Just
How,
staggering.
how many times have you watched the speech?
Oh, I've seen it. It's very hard for me now to watch it. It
Why?
really is, because I get so emotional every time. I've seen it 50 times. I mean, it's not like, I watched it once and I haven't seen it since then, but I started to watch it the other night again. And, the older I get, half the day I walk around with my eyes filled with tears, good tears, not,
Yeah.
bad tears, but I've seen it a lot anyway.
In the hundreds of pro-ams and celebrity golf tournaments that you've been a part of, was there ever a time when you saw a movie star, certainly not at your level, but at some other lower level than you, was there a movie star, an athlete, somebody that you actually were choked up to or shy to go, hey, I'd like to go meet that guy, but I don't know?
Oh, many times. Too many times. We don't have enough. There's not enough hours in the day for that. But I can tell you about a couple of them. And this one is unbelievable. And again, you have to remember how advanced in age I am. But the very first celebrity golf tournament I played at was Payne Stewart's. Payne Stewart had
Wow.
an event in Florida, and I got invited to play in this event. I think Mitchie got me invited to it. Anyway, I went down there, and I got there, and Friday, the tournament was Saturday and Sunday, and there was a practice round Friday. And I have my bag with me, and I get to the golf course, and I talk to the kid that was taking the bags, and he said, "Yeah, your cart's over here." And I walk over to the cart, and there's a bag on the cart already. And he's putting my bag on the cart, and I look at the other bag, and I turn the bag tag around, and it says Bart Starr.
Wow.
Hello. Now, now, um, I, I couldn't believe that. You got to remember, this is my first one too. And I had done, I can't remember what year it was. It might have been 86 or 87 maybe or something. And I had started to do some really good work, but I wasn't the huge international star I am now. um, anyway, I was tongue-tied. Bart came walking up to the Mr. Starr, actually, came walking up to the golf cart, and I introduced myself, and he was the most wonderful. He was so great. And I'm riding with him in the cart, and I would be looking ahead, and I would do a side eye and look, and I would think to myself, it's Bart Starr, for God's sake. I mean, I really was tongue-tied. But it turns out he started asking me questions about acting. He had a son who was very interested in becoming an actor. So Bart was really interested in the business and how I got started and all of that stuff. He was unreal. That was my first one. And then here's another good one, Chris. A few years later, in on Long Island, in basketball history, there was a guy that played on Long Island and graduated. He's the same age as Mitchie and I, named Julius Erving. I don't know if you
I'm not
remember.
familiar with the name.
Yeah, well, Google him, or better yet, go to YouTube and watch some of his highlights. Okay, that's all I'll say. Anyway, we played against Julius in high school.
Wow.
And, I destroyed him. I destroyed him. This,
sure
of course, is, this is the way I remember things. Anyway, another tournament, and I get to the cart, and I'm riding with Julius. And I didn't say anything for the first 3 or 4 holes, just how much I loved him and, the whole thing. And to all of us on Long Island, I mean, it was, you can imagine what a legend he was, even back then. And about the 4th hole, I said to him, I played against you in high school. And he looked at me. He went, "Where did you go?" I said, "Hewlett." And he thought for a minute and he said, "Do you have a twin brother?" I said, "Yeah." And that was it. My life was made. I mean, that even, and again, he's another one. We became very close friends with him. As a matter of fact, Mitchie, who is a prostate cancer survivor, thank God.
Yes.
And has done a lot of work with one specific prostate cancer group. Julius helped Mitchie with that, did a video with him. And
wow.
yeah, he's another one that is, unbelievable. Okay, this is going on too long, but I'll tell you another one.
Please.
I'll tell you another one. I played in a tournament that Peter Jacobson used to have, who was also a very close friend. I met Peter because he was best friends with PJ Carlissimo. And PJ was coaching in Portland, and Peter Jacobson's from Portland, and PJ's friends with everybody. That's how I met Peter Jacobson. And I get invited to play in the Fred Meyer Challenge in Portland one year. And it's Arnold Palmer's tournament with Peter. I played a practice round with Peter Jacobson and Arnold Palmer.
Oh, my.
Like walking down the fairway with Arnold Palmer and Peter Jacobson. Anyway, there was another golfer there that of all the guys there outside of Arnie, and there were a couple others, I really wanted to meet and talk to. His name was Jean Van de Velde.
Oh,
Yeah. Remember him?
yeah,
Yeah.
I recall.
And this was after he famously blew up at the Open Championship. And everybody that played golf knew what happened to him. And that was heartbreaking too. And I went up to him at the dinner the first night. There was a seat empty next to him. And I introduced myself and I told him, because the way he handled that after he lost the Open Championship was as classy as I've ever seen an athlete in that situation, ever. And I wanted to tell him that. And we ended up sitting and talking for a while. And he talked about that day, and he talked to me about his decision of trying to hit the ball out of the water and all of it. And when on the last day, I went to say goodbye to him when we were in the hotel. And I asked him, I very rarely asked people I played with for autographs. I certainly did with some of them. Arnie, I got a great autograph from Arnie, from Mr. Palmer. And I asked John if he would sign something for me. And I gave him, I have it somewhere here, I gave him the program from the Fred Meyer Challenge that we had just played in. And, people write best wishes or they'll just sign their name. He wrote on it, "Dear Matthew, please join me someday for a game of golf. Best wishes, Jean Van de Velde."
That's nice.
And I don't know why. See, I get choked up at that. It just hit me. He was just the most wonderful. He was so incredibly wonderful. I have a lot of stories like that, Chris. I've been very blessed in my life. Very.
All right, so talking about moves, I got to get in the obligatory Eddie and the Cruisers question.
Yeah, of course you do. Of course.
And we've long established that you're the greatest air guitar player of all time.
Second place is not even close. That's
yes.
how good I am. Yes.
Now, in Eddie, midway through the movie, we see you performing at the Holiday Inn, Sal and the Cruisers. You're up there singing those oldies but goodies. It was actually Kenny Vance, who was the guy who produced much of the soundtrack and even played Lou Eisen, the record producer from Satin Records.
Hold it.
What?
Mr. Big Shot. What famous singing group was Kenny Vance in?
Well, you got me there. I know he had a group, but I don't know the name. So
okay, I'll tell you why this is funny in a second. He was in a group called Jay and the Americans.
Oh, okay.
Okay, which you've heard of.
I have.
I mean, they were a big group in the 60s, I want to say. Anyway, okay, go ahead, and then I'll come back to what I was going to say.
Well, I just wanted to know, did you get to know Kenny? And how did you learn to lip sync those oldies but goodies? Was it, did you and Michael Pare go to the same lip syncing school so that you could get all the music just right?
No. I, as a matter of fact, and I've said this before, I worked with Michael Pare on lip syncing for weeks before we did that movie. I am not only the greatest air guitar player, I'm the greatest lip syncer in the world, and always have been. Even way
right?
before
Even when
Eddie.
you were a kid?
Yes.
Wow.
If you ask Mitchie, I'm sure he'll say that. Yeah, right. No, but seriously, I worked Michael, to his credit. He was horrible. He couldn't lip sync. He couldn't get to the point where Marty Davidson, the director, said, "We have no movie. We don't have a band. We can't do this. We can't do." I still, to this day, because a couple days before we started filming the music scenes, I didn't think he could do it. And somehow, miraculously, when we started filming, he did it, and he did an incredible job on it.
Yeah.
But Kenny Vance and I Kenny's brother, his brother Ronnie was an executive in the music industry, a big guy. And he was a very close friend of mine. I met him through Kenny, and I ended up sharing a house with Ronnie Vance for a long time. And I haven't seen either of them in years. I would love to. I'm going to call, now that we're talking about it, I'm going to get in touch with Kenny. He's another one. I just love that guy.
How long did it take you to learn the song?
Well, we had to learn all the songs. It wasn't just that one. We had to learn all of the music.
But that was your lead singing debut, right? On those oldies but goodies.
Yeah. I guess. I don't know. It took me an hour.
Really?
I don't know. Oh yeah. I mean, it was that. I'm being serious now. I'm not being facetious. That stuff came very quickly to me. I don't know how long it took me, but not very long.
Wow. That's impressive.
I would just play it, over and over. And I would have a cassette of it in my Walkman and my headphones on and just listen to it over and over and over again. And it didn't take long at all, though.
So nowadays, how often do you hear when you're walking down the street, wherever you are, "We ain't great, we're just some guys from Jersey"?
Not so much anymore now because I live in Lexington, Kentucky, and I don't, it's not like I'm walking on the street and guys are yelling at me from their cars. But the number of times I haven't been to New York in a few years now, happens every time I go to New York somewhere.
Yeah.
"Hey, Sal, I'm from Jersey." That's what they'll yell. It's staggering to me the effect that movie has had. It's been 40 years since 42 to be exact, I think, since that movie was released. And I get asked about it all the time. I think I spoke to you. I've done this brilliant show of yours in the last year, haven't I?
Yes.
Okay. I might have mentioned this because you would bring up Eddie and the Cruisers, but when we had the floods last year in Eastern Kentucky, I arranged a special showing on a Saturday night at this great theater in downtown Lexington to donate the money we raised to the flood victims in Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm sure my invitation is still lost in the mail somewhere to that wonderful thing.
No, I didn't invite you. No, because it was in Lexington.
Me right in the heart, of course. Go right ahead.
No, that's not what I meant. You know what I meant. It's not like people came from all over the United States to go to this. It was the people in Lexington. Anyway, standing in the lobby, and we had about 100 people came. We only talked about it for a week, did some publicity, but about 100 people came and many, many more donated online. It was fantastic. But standing in the lobby before the showing of the movie, all these people that were coming in would come up to me that I had never met. And the stories I heard from them about why the movie meant something to them or why it was so important. And I was a basket case standing in that lobby. And it's always been, I've told you this before too. I mean, when we shot that movie, we had no idea that we would be talking about it 40 years later. I mean, it came out in the theater and it was gone in a week. And we all went, well, okay, it's the way it goes. And then cable TV was what created this cult movie called Eddie and the Cruisers.
Yeah, HBO, right?
HBO, it came on, and that was when cable had just started to really become a thing. I think I want to say it was in 1985, maybe, or
that's right,
somewhere around there. And then within a couple months, the album went platinum, and everybody went, "Wait a minute, what?" And that 40 years later, people still talking, people like you. I mean, we always kid around about it, but you have to know how grateful I am and how much it means to me that movie means so much to you and to people that I care about. I mean, it's an amazing thing. Now, of course, you know, they feel the same way about all my other work, which apparently you don't, but that's okay.
Oh,
I
Streets of
mean,
Fire. I mean, that's
I mean,
another
it's
one of my favorites. You were awesome in that movie.
yeah, I had one scene in that movie. Okay, it's a little different. I appreciate you stretching to throw that in there. uh, I'll tell you how big a role I had in Streets of Fire. Do you know what my name was in the credits? My character?
Cop number 2.
Thin Cop.
Oh,
That's right.
Thin Cop.
Yes. My friend Peter Jason, who we tragically lost not that long ago. He was Fat Cop and I was Thin Cop in that movie. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but the reason I was in Streets of Fire was Walter Hill, the brilliant director of that and other movies, wanted to hire Michael Pare as the lead, and the studio didn't want him to. They had heard stories about he was trouble on the set of Eddie and the Cruisers, and he hadn't really, Eddie hadn't come out yet. And he didn't really, and Walter found out that I was basically Michael's acting coach that I got him through Eddie and the Cruisers, was what Walter was told. And my agent called and said, Walter Hill wants to have a meeting with you. And I went, oh, okay. And I went in and he asked me about Eddie and the Cruisers and Michael, and then asked me if I would be the acting coach on Streets of Fire. And basically to work with Michael. I mean, even though he didn't really need that much work. And I went, wait, you're going to pay me to do this? He said, yeah. I went, oh, okay, I'll do that. and I'll be around Walter Hill all the time, and Amy Madigan and Willem Dafoe and Diane Lane, who I got friendly with. It was an incredible experience. And then one day Walter came to me and he said, you want to be in this? And I said, sure. He said, all right, I'm going to write something in here for you and this guy, Peter Jason, that I use in all my movies. And I said, okay. And we were Fat Cop and Thin Cop in that scene, and we were brilliant. And that started a lifelong friendship with Peter Jason, who everybody, if you saw his face, you would know him.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the tie into Eddie and the Cruisers for Streets of Fire. There you go.
And didn't you become good friends with Michael Tunes and Tunes from the Beaver Brown Band during all of that?
Yes, and we just lost Tunes also.
I know.
He one of the more incredible human beings ever on this planet, ever. I want to say he was 85 when he passed away recently, very recently. We were all, I mean, I was 32 when we did the movie, but we were all young. Michael was in his 20s and Tunes already had like 4 kids. I mean, he had something like 15 kids and 10 great grandchildren and still playing incredibly well with the Beaver Brown Band, who still tours, John Cafferty and those guys, and Tunes right there with him. I mean, he was an amazing, amazing human being.
So when you're in your car and you're out driving around and On the Dark Side comes on, what's that like for you?
It's fantastic. It really is. I sing it every time. And you know, what's even better is I just got a text a couple days ago from a friend of mine. Thought of you. This came on when we were driving today. And it was a screenshot of Sirius XM in his car on the dark side.
Yeah.
And that happens all the time. I get texts from people with screenshots of it, as well as pictures of me, you know, hey, it was 2:30 in the morning the other day and look what I came on my TV. And it's a shot of me, you know, in Eddie or on Matlock or something that I did, and I was really handsome when I was young. I had all this hair, and I keep getting reminded of how old I am now because people keep sending me these stupid pictures. Think it's easy. It's not.
All right, two more before I let you go, and I'm going to take
Okay.
your emotions up and down.
Oh, good.
So we'll start with the down. The winter baseball meetings just ended yesterday, and your Yankees and my Red Sox went there with holes in their lineups, and both Brian Cashman and Craig Breslow left with ungats. How disappointed were you?
Now, wait. Now, hold on. Didn't the Red Sox sign a couple of people, or am I losing my mind?
I mean, we not while we were there. I mean, we signed Sonny Gray, who apparently didn't enjoy his time in New York, as he said.
Yeah, that's fine. You can have him. Wait till he pitches at the stadium. Where do you see how he gets bombed at the stadium? Okay. But didn't they sign somebody else, or is that just no? Okay.
We got ungats. That's what we got.
Okay, well, we got that same player who got the same guy. Must be his brother, because when I don't know, apparently it's supposed to be the richest franchise in baseball, right? The Yankees. When your general manager says, when the winter meetings end, and your general manager says, "I didn't accomplish anything." Brian Cashman actually said that. I mean, what are we supposed to do? The fun part is I have a daily show every day that during the baseball season, I get to bitch and rant and talk about how I hate the Yankees. It's great. It's at least I have an outlet for my anger. But it's not, it isn't easy, and it's not easy being a Red Sox fan. I mean, these two, we should be playing in the American League Championship Series every year against each other.
That's right.
Yeah. And we very good-naturedly give each other grief when something happens and, whatever. But I don't know. I'm already dreading. Somebody said to us on our show the other day, it's not that long till pitchers and catchers report. And I went, oh, God, I just got a knot in my stomach from that. Like, already. Great. Thanks.
All right. So on the opposite side of that emotional spectrum, we're recording this just a couple weeks shy of Christmas. Looking back on your life, what's your favorite holiday memory as a kid?
Well, we had Hanukkah. But it was always around Christmas. My favorite holiday memory, boy, that's a great question. And I don't think I have a real answer. I mean, holiday season always meant the most because of how joyous most people were, I think I'll say. And especially in the times we're living in now, where it's so hard for everybody, seemingly every day. Any memory I have of simpler times when people really cared about each other, and of course there are people that do now, but growing up, holidays were great because of family and, being invited to people's houses that celebrated Christmas was always great. Hanukkah was great for us because we got 8 presents. It was 8 nights. So we would get a new pair of high top cons for one night. You want to know how old I am? That was a big present back then. A new pair of high top Converse was
Chuck
great.
Taylors. You get some Chuck Taylors.
Yeah, the original Chuck Taylors.
Well, Chuck was still alive.
Yeah, not this bogus stuff that people have now. Like leather Chuck Taylor. Give me a break. So I would say that. I would say the memories growing up around holiday season were always beautiful.
Yeah, and I've seen pictures, obviously, just pictures of, you and Mitch with your mom. And I can just, I draw a painting in my head for what it must have been like around your family with your mom.
We, we were incredibly lucky with Mom. Dad passed away when he was 53, a long time ago. And so we didn't have him. I think me and Mitchie were 28 when he passed away, I want to say maybe. And on the other, both his brothers passed away at 51. So no males on his side of the family lived to be 54. On the other side, mom passed away. I should know this. I think she was 94,
Wow.
maybe. When we lost her, I think it's 5 years ago now, and the dates get blurred. And her sister, my Aunt Jean, was 97 or 98. And so apparently, we got mom's genes, which is really something. And we were blessed to have her up until fairly recently. It was always very hard for me because Dad um, never got to see our success, me or Mitchie. I mean, we were successful as human beings to him, and that's the only thing that mattered. But my acting career, boy, this is when I was going to go to law school, and Mitchie was going to go to med school when we were growing up because they didn't want to have to worry about us. My father grew up very poor, and midway through our senior year, we came home for Christmas, and Dad said, have you sent in your applications to law school yet? And I hit him with the news that I wasn't going. And when he said, well, what are you going to do? I said, I think I want to be an actor, which is the thing he would most worry about, going from the sublime to the ridiculous. And he stood up from the dinner table and he walked inside, and Mom turned to me. I looked at her and she said, you got to leave him alone. You just dropped a bombshell on him. And the next morning, he came in and sat on my bed and said, if this is what you really, oh boy, if this is what you really want to do, I'll do everything I can to help you. And that's the kind of man he was. He always thought that, I remember when I got my Screen Actors Guild card, I got in the union after a few years of not being in the union I got a Coke commercial. That's how I got my Screen Actors Guild card. And when I told him that I had gotten it, he cried because that to him meant, okay, now you're really an actor. He never got to say, I think he passed away. And then I want to say a couple months after he passed away, I got my first movie role, which really gave me my whole career, a movie called Prince of the City that Sidney Lumet, the brilliant director, directed. And once he gave me that job, everybody said, oh, you must be really good if Sidney hired you. And that pretty much launched my career. So my dad never got to see all that. But my mom, I took her to everything. Every premiere I had, she came with me and Mitchie to every celebrity golf tournament
Is that right?
to. Everyone, every single person, actors, athletes, all of them called her mom.
Wow.
She was, if she met you 10 seconds after she met you, you would get a hug. Everybody called her mom. I mean, she was an incredible woman. And so I got to share, and Mitchie too, we got to share all that stuff with her, which Dad wasn't there, but it kind of made up for it knowing that she got to see a lot of it.
That's fantastic.
Oh boy. Yeah. Yep.
Matthew,
All right.
before I let you go,
else you're gonna make
that's
me
all I
cry?
got. No,
Okay.
that's all I got.
Okay.
Remind our listeners how they can stay up to date with you.
On Twitter, I refuse to call it X. On Twitter, it's at real, REAL, Lauro, LAURO, and the number 5. And as Chris mentioned at the beginning of the show, WLXG.com is the way you can hear them on Monday through Friday, 10 to noon Eastern, on Matthew and Jimmy. And starting in the middle of February, I'll be back on Backspin Golf every Sunday morning from 8:03 a.m. until 9 a.m.
Matthew, you are the best, my friend. I love you more than you know. You mean so much to me, and you've been so great to me. And you talked about this earlier on about Bart Starr and some of the others. But when you get to meet your heroes in life, and a lot of times they disappoint you. I got to meet one of my heroes in life, and he's become a close friend of mine. So
Stop.
I'm very
Stop.
blessed.
Stop. Okay. Just stop. Stop. And I feel the same way about you. You know that. You're one of the great people on this planet, even if you are a Red Sox fan.
You were friends with Tim Wakefield, so you know.
I have his jersey.
I
You're
know.
darn right. Yep.
Matthew,
All right.
thank you so much for your time, my friend. I look forward to
Okay.
catching up with you again soon.
I'll talk to you soon. Love you.
Love you. See you, Matt.
Bye.
That is the great Matthew Lawrence, folks. Any doubt why I love that guy? And just a blessing in my life. A guy that, like I say, started out as a hero of mine as an actor, became a wonderful friend kind of just over social media on Twitter, now X. And from there, became a guest on Thursday Night Tailgate with my great friend Bob Lazari and I, and then came over here onto the golf side. But just a wonderful individual. Like we said there at the end of the conversation, sometimes your heroes don't live up to what you hope they would be like, right? They don't live up to the expectation. You build stuff up in your mind about how they are probably like in their personal lives, and then sometimes you meet them and they don't meet that expectation. Well, you get to meet Matthew Lawrence, and he exceeds the expectation that you had for him. Wonderful man, wonderful individual, great father, a great actor, now on radio, his podcast, Backspin Golf, as I've been saying for years, right? The best way to start your Sunday mornings, 8:03 a.m. Eastern Time, WLXG.com. You got to check it out if you haven't, and bookmark it and go back there and start your Sundays with Matthew. But I can't thank him enough for everything he's meant to me, and just a great friend and a great guest. Hope you enjoyed that segment. Coming up next, making his next on the tee debut with me is Steve Strano. Steve is the son of my gumba, Rob Strano, and he is doing a great job resurrecting a historic brand, Otey putters. Before Steve joins me, I want to remind you about our friends over at On Point Golf and their out-of-this-world On Point Golf Ball Marker. And if you don't have one, folks, you really need to go check it out at onpointgolf.us. Get the #1 ball marker in the game of golf. On Point is the only three-dimensional ball marker out there, with alignment technology and a removable coin that is approved to use according to the rules of golf. As you know, putting is all about line and pace. Mark your ball with On Point, engage with your three-dimensional ball marker, and have more confidence in your line, execute the putt, and you're going to lower your scores. Do what the likes of Jim Furyk, PGA professionals, and amateurs alike are doing now. They use the #1 ball marker in golf and they lower their scores. You know Ken Duke and Thongchai JD. They won for the first time on the PGA Tour in 2023, and they were using an on-point ball marker. Get yours at onpointgolf.us and make more putts. And oh, by the way, you can also customize the removable coin for any club, event, or corporate outing. They make really great tee gifts and custom products. That's also going to help lower your score. I use on-point ball markers. Mine is black and gold, 3D black golf ball with a gold line down the middle to help me line up my putts. It's like having a 15th club in my bag. It's helped my game. Why wouldn't you let it help yours? Again, onpointgolf.us. See what I'm talking about. Order yours today.
Holiday shopping for golfers can be rough, but even if you know exactly what they need,
A shot, honey.
or you're just treating yourself, the pros at PGA Tour Superstore can brighten everyone's game. With the widest selection of package sets, pre-owned and custom-fit clubs, a golf simulator showroom to demo and compare the latest tech, gift cards, lessons, and more. Plus, make shopping easy with buy now, pay later, 1-hour pickup, free returns, and our 90-day performance guarantee. So shop with the pros this holiday at the PGA Tour Superstore.
And what's the only thing brighter than your tree? A Sunday Swagger polo, of course. Sunday Swagger's holiday collection features 3 new limited editions: Cotton-headed, Santa Suit, and Buddy, available in men's, women's, and youth sizes. Plus, the return of Jungle Juice. You got festive hat designs include Naughty, Nice, and New Year's 2026. Silent Night? Not with these loud prints. This is the kind of gift that says, I actually tried. And as an added bonus, buy the New York Cat and get first dibs on the New Year's Eve polos. Shop now at SundaySwagger.com because nothing says holiday spirit like outdressing everybody else. Sunday Swagger, give yourself something worth showing off. Okay, now making his next on the tee debut with me is Steve Strano. Steve is on a mission to bring a legendary name in golf equipment back to life. He is leading the revival of Otey putters, a brand that dates all the way back to 1946 and helped shape the early era of putting philosophy and craftsmanship in our industry. For generations, Otey putters were known for their hickory shafts, their unmistakable feel, and their timeless designs. They were the kind of putters your grandfather might have sworn by, and golf historians like our friend Connor Lewis from part 1 of a recent episode, he could talk about them for hours. Steve is a part of a team working to preserve that legacy, rebuild the craftsmanship, and reintroduce Otey putters to a modern golf world. That's rediscovering the value of artistry, touch, and heritage. As you probably figured out, Steve is also the son of my gumba, Rob Strano, and I couldn't be more excited. I get to spend some time with him this week here on Next on the Tee. Hey, Steve, thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely. What an introduction. I don't know what I'm going to talk about for the next little bit. That was killer. I mean, that definitely hit the nail on the head. I'm so excited to talk about this. I'm obsessed, you could kind of say, borderlining crazy, maybe needing a little bit of medication with how stoked I am and excited to bring this story back. It's really, really cool what we're doing over here right now. And the feedback that we've been receiving so far has been nothing short of miraculous. People are so excited that we're reviving this borderline extinct but legendary golf company.
So let's talk about it. Let's set the stage first, though. For people who aren't familiar with the legacy, tell everyone who Otey Chrisman was and what made these putters so special back in the day.
Oh, absolutely. So the abbreviated history lesson, I'll hit the highlight first and then work backwards. So between 1947 and 1957, half of the winners at Augusta used an Otey Chrisman putter. And so back in 1946, 1945, Otey Chrisman Sr., so the current Otey Chrisman, that's the owner of the company, his dad was a decent golfer. He was a really good iron striker, really good off the tee, but struggled on the greens. This is back when, just to give you a mental picture, it was the Calamity Jane era. It's a single piece of metal on a hickory stick, and he was noticing his distance control was off, and his offline putts or his reads for being offline were really kind of out there. So he developed one of the first putters to introduce MOI into a putter, the moment of inertia, which is really important in modern day putters, to keep the ball online and help with distance control. And then in 1945, he did really well at the U.S. Open and made a big run at qualifying. I believe he made the U.S. Open in 1945, but people were seeing the really quick turnaround of his putting game. And he handcrafted these putters in Selma, Alabama, and which is where they're still created today. And ever since then, he discovered, he's like, hey, I had a good run at the Open, but maybe this putter thing might be worth exploring. And he started selling these things, and then they started winning. So it was really kind of incredible. I mean, the forgotten heroes of the past basically use these putters. I mean, every once in a while there'll be like a forum of a collection that pops online. Like Arnold Palmer was using these putters, and Ben Hogan. There's a collection that went semi-viral on Golfer's Journal on Instagram, and they kind of showed his catalog of. I mean, of course, these golfers love collecting clubs, and but in the middle row of the picture, I was like, oh, there's a dozen Otey Chrismans that Ben Hogan had. So it's a really cool piece of history, and as we've gone about this revival, I love how you pulled revival into your introduction, because that's exactly what this is. We've noticed that there is a large community of people that love these Otey Chrismans, where they've got these incredible family stories. I mean, there was a guy last week that was wanting to get his Otey Chrisman refurbished, and he's like, hey, I want to send this, protected. I'm going to triple wrap this thing, send it to you guys to refurb it. It was my dad's favorite thing. like not just his dad's favorite club, it was his dad's favorite things. Was tugging on his heartstrings when he was sending it to us, going, I want to just, get it protected. It's in a special place in my office. Or there was another guy that was like, hey, I'm so glad you're bringing back the Otey Crispin story. My dad was buried with this putter. And it's just like, oh my goodness. Like there's such a community that's out there that is longing for these things to come back. And it's just it's an incredible thing. I mean, when I first discovered the story, it took a ton of digging. It was a website that had been around for a little bit, but I had to really kind of search to go find it. But they guess and estimate that over the course of their entire company's history, they've sold over 600,000 of these putters. But
Wow.
Anybody that's my generation, I'm 33. Anyone that's I would venture to say under the age of 40 or under the age of 50, that plays golf, you go Otey Crispin, and they go Otey who? So it's these incredible stories that kind of mix together the history of golf, but also an American craftsman, an American manufacturing in the Deep South in Selma, Alabama. So it's a ton of fun. There's a ton of magic that's kind of happening as a relaunch. There's a lot of hard work that we're kind of going through right now, making sure that we keep the important parts of this story intact. There's no cutting corners to this story. So we want to make sure that we revive it in the correct way while staying true to the original soul of the company. I mentioned earlier, but it's worth saying twice. Otey Crispin, his son, Otey Crispin III, is still at the helm of the company. So it's not like, it's a new company that's completely disconnected from the story. Couldn't be further from the truth. It's Otey Crispin is still the producer, and he's still at the helm of these things. He said last week, I'm 74 and a half, Steve. And I came back with, I was like, I think you can stop saying half once you turn 15. But but he's a great Southern guy. I love working with him, and we're excited to see what 2026 has in store for us.
So let's expand a little bit on what you said a moment ago, because I want to hit it a little harder with the fact you mentioned that 5 Masters between 1947 and 1957 were won with an Otey Crispin putter. So 4 Masters champions won 5 Masters. You also mentioned Arnold Palmer and Ben Hogan. But as you guys list out on the website, other legends like Jimmy DeMerit, Doug Ford, Jackie Burke Jr., Bob Golby, Kerry Middlecoff, Paul Runyon, Rick Massengale, Ben Crenshaw, Tony Lima, Carol Mann, Mickey Wright, Nancy Lopez, Babe Diedrich Zaharrison, Chi Rodriguez, Chai Rodriguez, for those who know what I'm talking about, and Gary Player have all won with this putter. I mean, that's unbelievable. That's great success. It's almost a crime that the putters ever sort of faded away.
Absolutely. It's a little bit. I might be a glass half full, silver lining chaser, but I'm also kind of looking at it as a opportunity where it's like, hey, maybe the story faded out, and maybe they were hanging tight to the hickory shafted club for too long, and maybe they should have modernized, and maybe they could have done X, Y, and Z. But I'm also looking at it going, you guys have been making putters the same exact way since 1946. That is something special. It hasn't, there's been upgrades, there's been updates, but what made it special in the very beginning that made all those people you just listed, attracted to this putter, those through lines are still very much connected to the Otey Crispin name. The craftsmanship is still there. The heritage, the feel of these putters. I love to double down on the feel. It's something different with the hickory shaft that kind of transfers into your hands. It kind of pulls back on what is not talked about a lot today, but it's almost like the spirit of the game or the spirit of the club, where it becomes this ethereal flow state you kind of enter into with a putter. I was playing 3 weeks ago at a course down here, and I've got all modern clubs, but I've used a hickory shafted putter for the last 6 years, and that's a story for how I kind of discovered Otey. But I was knocking them in. I mean, I think I missed one putt within 10 feet, and everybody was chanting Otey's name after every single one. It was really kind of special. But it's it's a cool factor. It's craftsman. It's the history. It's the feel. It's the heritage and the history of the game that we're really kind of pulling in to this. But I mean, it's I'm going back to what you said. It is an absolute crime. It's borderline heresy. What's kind of happened? It's. I mean, Dad's got a whole bunch of these golf history books and Masters champions, in his golf library, and I love flipping through them, just trying to see what I could stumble upon, because the Otey Chrisman putter was introduced and used in an era when people weren't checking on bags. Like if you were there was in 1957. You're testing my memory here. In 1957, there was one guy that went around checking the Masters bags for different clubs and putters and whatnots, and I believe it was 73% of the players at Augusta were using the Otey Chrisman putter. Now, don't quote me on that number, but it was an overwhelming majority of players were using that putter. But this is before Palmer really got rolling with his marketing style when it came to golf. Before people really realized that they could make a lot of money when it came to marketing, a lot of money when it came to who's using Callaway, who's using Titleist. Or I guess in this day it'd be Spalding and McGregor and whomever. So it's a time before the internet when everything's handwritten. It's all newspapers. So there's a lot of guys that I'm reaching out to that are golf historians, that are these, they just eat, sleep, and drink, golf history. And I'm going, hey, I need your help, guys. I've got these records. I know what I've got right now. But you touched on Nancy Lopez. There's a big amount of history that flows through the Otey Chrisman brand and the company and the wins that go through the LPGA Tour. And this, but still going back to my previous point, there's a lot of this stuff that's just lost. It's pre-internet. Everything's in a newspaper, or it's in a book, it's in a journal, and we're having to dig. There's a lot of hard work, a lot of reaching out to these newspapers and the families of Bob Golby, and going, hey, do you still have this 18 HBW in the closet somewhere? And they're going, we sold it. I'm going, no. But it's these really important things that I love. I grew up with Dad playing in the professional and semi-professional tours for 18 some years. I grew up in the golf world. I grew up reading history books, American Revolutionary, Civil War, World War I, World War II, the Spartans and the Athenians. I love history. I love golf, and this is a beautiful mesh in between the two of them. So it's an incredible story, and I'm really excited to kind of gently, because it's this small little flickering flame right now, and I'm trying to kindle it. I'm trying to add the right tinder to it, and trying to get it to a place of health, and because it's got this incredible history that I love talking about. But the main focus of what we're doing right now is it's a protectionism kind of thing. It's like, hey, we just found this almost extinct animal, and it's shivering in the woods. Let's bring it inside. Let's warm it up. Let's gently let's gently bring it back. We got to do things really carefully right now to kind of build back to a place of relevance. But everything starts here at conversations with golfers or golf journalists like you. I'm talking to a bunch of my buddies about it right now, and going, here's the history, here's the story, and what do you think? And it's just amazing to kind of hear the stories that come out about it. Or I told one of my normal playing partners about the Otey story. He's seen the Otey in my bag, and he was playing with another group maybe a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, and the old man he was playing with was using an Otey Chrisman, and my playing partner Kevin got to go, "Is that an Otey Chrisman?" And the guy's jaw dropped. He was like, "You know what this is?" So it's this incredible story that I'm very fortunate to be in the driver's seat as we're gently rediscovering the history that's there and trying to protect it as we bring it into this modern age.
So Steve, a little while ago you mentioned how you really had to go searching for the website and information. Was Otey Chrisman III, was he still out there making putters? Did you have to find him and kind of rekindle and get him going? What was he doing prior to when you came onto the scene?
So yes, he was still producing these putters. There was so I'll give you a little bit of how I discovered this story, and it's kind of a weird one. So when I was at Florida State for college, I was part of the PGM program. It's the business side of golf, the professional golf management program over there, and it was mandatory every single year. You're supposed to take these internships. And my first year, I was like, okay, well, I'm going back home. So I went to Kelly Plantation in Destin, Florida, did an internship, and in the last month or so when I was there, you've got the cart barn, you've got the owner's closet. There was a little, dusty, little used room behind the owner's closet, and behind it there was a lot of lost and found clubs that were back there, and behind one of the stack units, literally covered in cobwebs, was a hickory shafted putter. And it now at this point, I've got to be clear, it was not an Otey Crispin. It was a Frank Johnson mallet style putter, but it was gorgeous. It was something I'd never seen before, something I'd never held before. I took it up to the practice green and started putting, and it's hard to describe the feeling besides saying that it was just something that I hadn't felt before. It was, I mean, my dad loves to make fun of me. He kind of describes me as a stone-handed putter. It's just like I smack at it, and I'm slowly getting better, But it was when I had the hickory shafted putter, something kind of clicked where it forced my hands to chill out. It forced me to kind of stay on target, stay on line, and I started three putting less, and then I started playing a little bit better, and it was just something that was kind of cool. But that was 6 or 7 years ago. And with the modern advances of Chat GPT and AI, I was having a late night creative session after a round of golf, and just trying to detox my brain, and hey, what's this Chat GPT thing? Let's play around a little bit, but what do you search? And I was like, well, let me dig through and see if this Frank Johnson guy's still around. And I couldn't find anything about it, but let's keep digging down this rabbit hole. And who's still making hickory shafted clubs in the United States, or hickory shafted putters? And three names popped up. It was Louisville Golf, Tad Moore, and Otey Crispin. And I vaguely knew of the first two, but the last one I was like, I've got no idea who this is. And clicked on it, went to his website, and was just immediately enthralled with the story to the point where I was feeling like I was being pranked. It was like this is such an amazing story. How come I've never heard about it? How come nobody's talking about this? It's when you look at the winners for the Masters. I mean, they're on the leaderboard when it comes to overall wins against Odyssey and Scotty and Titleist and all these other amazing names. Tied for fourth is this nobody named Otey Crispin. So I had to learn more. And at that point, the Frank Johnson putter that I had, the hickory shaft, needed a little bit of work, and I was like, well, it might be time for me to get an upgrade here. So I went ahead and bought an Otey Crispin putter. I mean, it took me about 2 weeks to select one, because the other fun caveat of this entire story is it's really hard to choose one, because the Otey Crispin putters are flat out gorgeous. And I know you've probably taken a little sneak peek. You've done a ton of research, but these putters are just gorgeous. It feels like I'm holding a Ferrari, or like an old GT40 in my hands, kind of thing. It's just the curves, the lines, and whatever. So I got one and immediately sent him a note. Discovered, oh, you're in Selma. You're 3 hours away from me. I'd love to meet you. I'd love to come up to your shop. I'd love to learn more about this and see if you're full of it. Are you pulling my leg? I mean, hey, it's the internet. So, I've been fooled before. But I'd love to see more. I'd love to learn more. And he's he welcomed me with open arms. He's like, yeah, coming up next week. He was sending me pictures of the club and including me in the process of this thing being built. And it was just really, really cool. And then I went up there to go meet him, and it was just he's a let's see if I can phrase this right. He's a golfer's dream. When you're talking to someone that if you love golf, you want to talk to someone like him. He's got a memory like a steel trap, and I don't. He'll lay out facts and lay out quotes and quips and hey, Jackie said this and Jimmy did this and he said one where I forget the guy's name that won with it, but he was like, oh yeah, he said that the Otey Crispin putter has shot down more guys than Jesse James, and then he went off and talked about something else. I was like, whoa, what did you just say? What an incredible quote. Let me write that down. So there's a lot of fun things that we're rediscovering right now and kind of talking about, but it's going back to your original point, original question. Otey's been making these for the last. I mean, he's 74 and a half, so he's been building them since he could ride a bike, kind of thing. But the company changed hands once in the mid 90s, and when he got it back, he just started working in the shop, and I don't know if I can point to any one thing. I mean, hey, hindsight being 2020, hey, did you not enter into the internet age soon enough? Was there a lack of modernization? Was there a lack of marketing? I don't know. I think there might be a combination of a few things, but he focused on what he was really, really good at, which is craftsmanship, which is making these putters. And he's been doing them for so long, and to the point where him and Tad Moore are linked up. So he and Tad operate out of the same shop in Selma, Alabama.
Wow.
And right. So there's a lot of really cool things that are happening on our side. There's a lot of really great connections that we're slowly kind of putting together. And in talking to my really close, tight knit circle, which obviously includes Dad. And he's like, well, let's not pull the wool over our eyes. Hey, we're not chasing tour bags. It's like, absolutely, I get that. This is a special story. This is a hey, Adam Scott's not going to be putting this in his bag, kind of thing. I get that, but but of course, as soon as I had that conversation with him, we had a guy reach out from Australia. That's a multiple time tour winner down there, and he's like, hey, I love the story, I love the history. I use modern irons, modern drivers, but I want to test this thing out. So we there might be an opportunity there, but I'm not going to hang my hat on it, kind of thing. But we're in a very fun place right now.
All right, so there's a couple of things that you said there that I want to unpack, and I want to kind of go back to something that you talked about a minute ago around the hickory shaft. For someone who's never struck a putt with a hickory shafted putter, how different from steel or graphite are they from a feedback and a performance standpoint?
So I'm going to answer that two different ways. So before I went into his shop, I assumed that a hickory shaft is a hickory shaft is a hickory shaft. Doesn't matter, driver, iron, or putter. These guys, so back in the day before you had the CCP machines, where they test the flexibility of them, these guys would literally drop the hickory shafts on the floor, and the different tones that would come back out of the hickory shafts would, a deeper tone is a firmer shaft. So we're going to hold that for a putter. A lighter tone is for a driver. So they would literally, it was so artistic, they would drop them on a concrete floor and go, okay, this one's a driver, this one's iron, this one's a putter. Now in today's world with Otey Crispin, I mean, the process is still the same, but when they take and they test these shafts, they use modern flex testing. So you can have an X shaft on a driver that's made of hickory. So it's not like, hey, I mean, are there differences in graphite, steel, and hickory? Absolutely, but I think it comes down to feel. It's not really based on hey, it's an X shaft and a graphite is still an X shaft and a hickory. So I wanted to kind of get that out there first. It's not like you're taking a piece of wood from a tree and sticking it in a club. It's hickory, which is notoriously flexible. It's notoriously resilient when it comes to clubs, which is why you can use hickory and not maple and not oak, for example. So that's number one. Number two is the way that I would explain it when it comes to hitting a putt is more of it'd be like hitting a baseball with a aluminum bat versus a wooden bat. I don't know if that's a really good example, but it's driving stick shift in a car versus an automatic. It's something that kind of includes you in the process more. there's no numbers to back up the things that I'm talking about. It's a feel, it's a vibration, it's a connection through the putter into the club head, through the brass inlays, out through to the ball. So it's a feel thing that's really hard to put into words. But I'm willing to bet, Chris, if I put a Otey Chrisman in your hands, I go, hey, putt with this, hit 10 putts with this, and then hit 10 putts with your normal putter. You're going to feel the difference as well.
So you talked about who's reaching out and having it in your bag and that sort of thing. Who is the Otey Chrisman putter for? Is it for all of us that are looking for the right putter for ourselves? Is it something that we're going to want to test out and try? Is it for the historian who wants to give it as a gift or have it hanging in their den or wherever in their office? Who is it actually made for nowadays?
So in today's world, I think it's meant for all of the above that you're looking at, but at different percentages. So I would think, the golf collector, the people that are looking to get a really cool gift for somebody, I think that's kind of number one. It's like, hey, my husband's got everything. His tie rack is full. I've got him all the socks and all the shirts that he could possibly get. But what could he unwrap this Christmas that would be, something that would be, something that would blindside him and really kind of shock him and hey, we get to tell him the story, and then he gets to tell the story to his buddies. Like I think that's number one. It's a collector's piece. It's a gift. Number two, like we've been reached out to from a bunch of these Donald Ross courses. One Donald Ross course right now, but there's a couple that we have on our list that we want to go chase. But they're going, hey, we've got our 100th year anniversary coming up in 2026. We want to get some putters for our members, and we want to do a special event where, hey, everybody uses their clubs, but everybody's got to use an Otey. So pick one that you like and let's rock and roll. So that's kind of number two. But I do believe that the everyday golfer might also be attracted to this. I was talking to a buddy of mine this week, and he's got an Otey. I've sold him on the story, and he was like, let me check this thing out. He's got a beautiful. We currently don't have it on the website yet, but it's an 8802 styled, but it's with this really pretty naval brass, which is really corrosive resistant and really strong metal that goes on the club head. It's flat out gorgeous. I'm really excited to kind of launch that one in the next month or so. So a little bit of a teaser on that one. But he was putting with it in his office at home, late at night, and he was, detoxing as we all do, trying to chill out after a hard working day. And he texted me all excitedly, going, "I get it. It's a feel. It's something I can. It's confidence when I stand over the putter. It's something I can navigate the greens a little bit better." But that also kind of cued me into, hey, maybe it might be for weirdos and crazy people like me, it might be a number one putter that's in your bag. Or it might be something where it's a cool putter that you get to put in the corner of your office. The big thing that I kind of touched on earlier in our conversation was these putters are beautiful. They're flat out gorgeous. They've got natural curves that kind of go to them. They're handcrafted, handmade. They've got the naval brass insert in most of them. They've got the naval brass insert. So it's something that's really pretty overall. So if it's a gift, it might be something that goes into, the corner of your office and you're knocking putts, when you're on the phone, so there's a couple different ways that this could kind of go. And I'm interested to kind of see what feedback comes back, because I've talked to my wife about this. I'm going, I've got enough ideas about this and enough directions to go with this, relaunch that I could totally, kill this company. I've got, you know what I mean? Where it's like, hey, you get like Steve Jobs was talked about. Jeff Bezos was talking recently, and he was in an interview where he's like, if you give me half an hour, I can come up with 100 ideas, but if we implement all those ideas at the wrong times, we're gonna kill this thing. So, and I totally identify with that. It's like, I've got no problem coming with ideas, and directions for where we could take this and who we could sell this to. But it's a matter of gently, kind of going forward in a direction and getting good feedback. But we did an official relaunch about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and we sold more putters in our first week than we did in the best month in the last 20 years.
Wow.
Which made, I went up to Selma, the week after we did that, and you should have seen Otey. He was 4 inches taller. I thought he might have been floating. He was almost jumped into my arms kind of thing. It was really, really kind of cool to kind of see the fire behind his eyes come back. So it was really exciting. But we're trying to be careful with this relaunch. I know that in the age that we are in today, when it comes to the internet, when it comes to marketing and putting out a vision, that you could go at the idea that you have with a certain angle, but the internet's going to come back, and the people that are going to be responding might go, "Hey, I get that, but what about this? Have you thought about this?" And then you might get a flock of people that come at it from a different angle that you hadn't quite considered. So I think I'm really interested to see who might be, super interested in this. Maybe it's a collector's piece and a collector's piece only. Maybe it's a gift and a gift only. Maybe it's a celebration piece for a golf club, or maybe it's a mesh of all of those different things. But I'm really interested to kind of see, because I'm a big numbers guy. So I love looking at the data, going, what state is buying this? Is it just retirees in the villages in Florida, or is it different age ranges that are kind of picking it up? Because there's Instagram or Facebook Meta has a really good dashboard on their back end, and I love kind of seeing who's interested in this. Because the thing that I was thinking, my hypothesis as we were doing this relaunch was, I'm willing to bet, this was 3 months ago before we had relaunched. I'm like, I'm willing to bet that I'm only going to get interest from people that are 60 and above, people that are familiar with the story. Oh, I used to have one of these, or my grandfather had one of these. But I was kind of shocked to find out that there is a large contingent of people in the United States and abroad. We've already sold, I think, 6 or 8 putters overseas. But there's a large contingent of people that are under the age of 40, that are my age or younger, that are super attracted to the story, but are in love with American handmade goods. So I totally agree with what they're coming from. I'm going, yeah, I get that. I think we're in a super unique place in the world we're in right now, where things are, things are made as fast and as cheaply as possible, and they're not handcrafted anymore. The love of the game is out of them, per se, kind of thing. So they're excited to see something a little different come to the market. Yeah, I'm interested to see what the future holds for Otey Crispin.
So, Steve, are all of I'm looking on the website, and I know there's 6 models that are displayed online. And are all 6 of those model types, the heads, the way that Otey had it years ago? Are any of these? Because when I look at the B20HB and I look at that model head and I say, is that something he created, years and years ago? Because it looks like it's, like we're copying that a little bit nowadays with some of the modern putters. A little larger head, maybe a little different style, but it's really reminiscent of something that I would see today and any of the other models out there. You mentioned, whether it's Titleist or TaylorMade or whoever the manufacturer might be. But if these are all like he had them years ago, kudos to him for knowing what, or being ahead of his time, if you will.
Right, absolutely. And so the B20HB is the newest model, and that one was not from the original kind of winningest time period. That's one that Otey Crispin III, the current owner of the company, came out with. But other than that, all of the other ones that we're currently offering on the website were models that you could find in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. I when I first came on board and went up to Selma to go meet with Otey. I mean, it blew me away with the stuff that he had in that shop. So all of these putters are forged. So you take this molten, metal, and you pour it into a cast, and then you stamp it down to get it really get it in there and to fill that space. But he's got 70 of those. He's got 70 of those casts, each of them unique to models that they've made in the past. And so we had a really fun conversation going, how many of these do you have? How many SKUs, how many different unique items do you have that are in here? And he's like, I've got like 150. And I'm going, okay,
Wow.
we don't need we don't need those, please, not right now. Let's try and simplify. So I got him down to his best-selling 6 right now. We've got 2 more planned to come. We're getting late in the year, so I'll kind of say we're going to release those in January or February of next year. One is very similar to the HBW 20, the 20 HBW, which is the larger mallet that has the walnut on the back. So the next one's going to be an 18 HBW. It's going to be a little bit smaller than that one. And then the other one I previously mentioned, that's the naval brass 8802 lookalike. And I'm so excited about we're calling that one the Otey blade, the 8802 naval brass, because it's flat out gorgeous. That's the one that one of my golfing mates has, and every time he pulls it out of the bag and he's getting ready to hit a putt, I can't just stop myself. I can't not stop myself and look at it and go, man, that thing is just glistening. When can I get one? Because I'm serious. When I first started discovering the company and discovering the brand, I obsessed over not only the story, but which one am I going to get? And I had it narrowed down to like 3, and then it was like okay, which one out of these 2? It was troublesome to kind of pick just one. To answer, to be a little long-winded, but to answer your question, the B20 HB that's on there, that one is a newer creation. But saying that is not quite true. That one is still, I think it's like 25 or 30 years old. That one came out in the late 90s. But even then, yeah, they're still the other 5 were used and sold back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So we're really excited to kind of wrap some fun marketing around them and go, hey, the 70 HB was one with Doug Ford in 1957. The 51H, the 51H was a Jimmy Demerit win. And Jimmy won twice. And one of the biggest advocates for Otey Chrisman was Mr. Jackie Burke. He was, there's interviews you can find online where he's talking about him and before, so it would have been in 55 leading up to the Masters. He won 5 tournaments in a row with an Otey Chrisman, and he would say that in an interview that putting with an Otey Chrisman was telepathic, and I'm like, ooh, that's kind of fun, like nobody's talking about it. Like I want to putt and be telepathic. That sounds like a superpower. But so we're kind of excited to go into next year and go, okay, let's wrap a story around this putter and let's launch 100 and see what comes back. I'm interested to see if I'm obsessed in the wrong direction and kind of going, hey, maybe this isn't a good idea to relaunch this company. Nobody wants these things, or maybe I might be pleasantly surprised and kind of go, hey, we say what we're going to do and we're protecting the brand and the history and the story and maybe we might sell a couple, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well, I think you're going to get a lot of demand out of these things, particularly if you're going to go back and make something in the style of the 8802. I think that's a tremendous putter. I still see people using those today. So if you can kind of marry the brand and the hickory shaft and the feel and the response with a head that's similar along those lines, I think you're going to be onto something very special, Steve.
Right. That's what like Mickelson's the Tiger Slayer is just like I think it is an 8802 Wilson, and he's got, but it's all modernized. So I'm really interested to kind of see where we go with this. I'm kind of looking at it as a fun opportunity where we have the opportunity right now to take our time and protect the sacredness of the story and bring it back right. Because in this space, who else is making putters in the United States that are focused on the 1940s and the 1950s? Like we've got no competitors. Like this is really kind of fun and opportunistic with the direction that we're kind of going. And yeah, who knows where this will take us.
Well, it sounds like from what you were saying a few minutes ago, the demand is already starting to go through the roof. So you just enhance on that, and goodness knows where this thing can go. So kudos to you and to Otey the third for all the work you're doing and putting into it. But you coming along and picking up a brand that was marginally on life support and pumping life back into it. This is exciting stuff. So great job out of you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I mean it's also it's a big credit to Otey as well. Otey Chrisman the third. There's a big part of me that just warms my heart that he trusted me. I mean, he didn't know who the heck I was when I walked into his shop 4 months ago, and I'm talking to him about hey, what's the future look like for Otey Chrisman, and there was something he said to me very early on that kind of almost broke my heart, where he was like, "Hey, Steve, I love your interest, but what's my 5 to 10 year plan with Otey Chrisman? If or when I pass away, the Otey Chrisman story and brand dies with me." And I was just like,
wow,
jaw on the floor. So that kind of led me into because I do my main job requires a little bit of marketing, or I guess a lot of bit of marketing if I give myself a little bit of credit. So I'm plugged into the way the world spins, and I'm going, hey, I've got a little bit of skill with this. I've built Shopify e-com websites before. I know how to communicate. I think communication is the biggest part of the story. How do I tell the story right? And how do I package that story so that it gets out there to the right audience? And I was like, I think I can do this. So Otey, would you mind giving me a trial run? If I'm full of it and we sell nothing, hey, no harm done. We'll part our separate ways and do that. But there was not a bone in my body that I could imagine this not going any way but up. But it's a gigantic credit to him for trusting me. There's a lot of this where I'm looking at this where he could have easily shut the door on me and gone, Steve, I'm an old man, I'm comfortable, I've got a nice house, I've got a great family, I've got no need to do anything about this. But he trusted me to bring me onto the team and off to the races we go. So yeah, we're very excited on my end, on his end, to kind of see where we can kind of place this. It's a very unique story. It's a very unique craftsmanship, American-made craftsmanship. I think it's got a gigantic place in today's golf market, and we'll have to kind of see. We'll have to kind of see where it goes.
Steve, before I let you go, let our listeners know, first of all, you mentioned you've got a little skill at this thing. Tell everybody what else you do, because you're in the real estate business and doing a great job there too.
Yes, yeah. So I've my family on my dad's side has sold real estate since I could walk, and when I was up in the area or down in the area, I guess I'm south of you and from Atlanta to Destin. But I'm from the Emerald Coast, Destin, 30A, Rosemary. So a little bit of short history, since I could drive, I worked on the beaches. I did beach service and chairs and umbrellas for 10 years. And then got to the, 9th, 10th year. I was like, hey, I just met a great girl, but is she going to be with me in another 10 years if I stay doing this? And will my body still be together? Will I be, financially in a good place? And it was, no, and hell no. So I was like, okay, well, let's give this real estate thing a swing. And first, my girlfriend at the time, but now wife, was living up in Nashville. So I went up there and got into real estate in a market where I knew 5 people and 2 of them were family. So I sold nothing for 8 months up in Nashville, and then but kept working my tail off, kept meeting people and hosting open houses, and then COVID hit. And it was actually the weirdest thing. As the world shut down, my business ramped up and I caught a wave. And then things happened with my wife's work, and we moved back down to the Emerald Coast, and I kept doing real estate down here. So that's where, I kind of looked at marketing in today's world as as a big opportunity. I mean, you can press play on your phone at any given moment and press post and reach, I mean, literally millions of people. So how can you tell a story that gets people excited, especially something like a house? Now I've got the benefit of living in one of the most beautiful places on the planet, like 30A. But that's where I kind of cut my teeth in marketing, and I focus down here on short-term rental investment clients, people that are looking for vacation rental properties, Airbnbs, and the sort, and kind of took off with marketing and selling real estate in this area. And obviously just love playing golf and love doing that. But then stumbled into the Otey stuff, and still doing the real estate. I've got a couple listings right now. I was talking to a couple buyers today, but it's not 9 to 5 is real estate, and then 5 to 9 is Otey Christmas stuff. So we're kind of burning the wick at both ends, but doing it with a smile on my face.
No doubt. Steve, before I let you go, let everyone know how they can stay up to date with all the great things that you and Otey are out there doing, whether they're following you on the website or it's on social media.
Right. So there's two main places right now you can find us. That's going to be our Instagram. Actually, our Facebook is really, really good as well. So Otey Putters on Facebook, and then our website is Otey3, OTEYTHREE.com. And then our Instagram is Otey_putters. And we're putting stuff out, kind of, a little bit right now. We've picked up enough where we can, kind of slow our posting to a drip pace. I had a fun conversation with Otey a couple weeks ago where he's going, "Hey, whoa, slow down." So we're in a really good spot, but we're also trying to grow healthily. We're adding people to the team right now to give Otey a little bit of help in the shop and kind of bring in some really good hands. So but those are the main 2.5 spots. I kind of pair Instagram and Facebook together. But if you search Otey, and it's pronounced Otey like overdose, but it's spelled Otey. But you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and then online at Otey3.com.
Steve, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of what's got to be building as a very busy schedule to come here and tell the story. You're fantastic, my friend.
Yeah. I appreciate you having me. I mean, this is such a fun opportunity for me. I love talking to like-minded people that are golf nuts. I think I can. That's not derogatory if I'm saying it in the right light. But it's a spectacular story that I can't have die. This is something that just my love of the game, my love of history, just kind of gets me excited. I mean, I love looking at the world through the lens that I've been given, and kind of going, it'd be a shame if the story disappeared, or if it disappeared, would someone smarter than me come and pick it up and try and take it for a run? And I think it's such a fun opportunity to bring this story back. I mean, it's every week I pop up my laptop and I get a message from somebody that's just overjoyed that we're bringing this thing back, and they're going, "Hey, this is my dad's favorite thing." Oh, hey, it was my grandfather's favorite thing. Can we get it refurbed? And I didn't know that you guys won 5 out of 10 Masters, in the 40s and then the 50s. It's like, yeah, hey, that's what we're here for. We're trying to relaunch it and trying to take care of it as best as we can, because there's a way to do it right and there's a way to do it wrong, and we're trying to do it as right and as carefully and as slowly as possible, while trying to do all the fun things well.
Well, kudos again to you for what you're doing. Steve, thank you so much for being here. All the best to you and your family. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to you, Rob, and the rest of the Strano family. I hope we get this opportunity to catch up with you soon.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you having me on. Have a Merry Christmas, and we'll have to put something in the calendar for 6 months. I think I'll have a very different story in the next half year.
I look forward to it. Take care, Steve. We'll catch up soon.
Yes, sir. Take care. Bye.
That is the great Steve Strano, folks, doing great work over at Otey Putters. And again, you can find them on Facebook, Otey Putters, Otey3, spell that out, OTEY, spell out 3.com, and Otey_putters out on Instagram. Look, folks, when you hear a quote like shot more guys down than Jesse James? Do you need anything more than that to understand what a great putter these are? Get one in your hands. Look, I've read an awful lot, and not just here about Otey, from other guys like our good friend Mitch Lawrence, who is a Hickory player, talking about the feel of a Hickory shaft. Now, think about what is important when you're pulling out your putter. What are you looking for? You're looking for feel. You're looking for touch. You're looking to be able to make more of those putts. Steve talked about making more from 10 feet and in. That's where we all struggle. Make fewer 3 putts. What the heck? Why not give it a try? See what the difference is. Go online, check them out. And he talked about how beautiful they are, and you're going to be blown away by the beauty of these putters. He talked about the 20 HBW. Boy, that one is unbelievable. And to think that they're going to come out with something very similar to an 8802, I can't wait to see that too. But these things are fantastic looking. I can't wait to see. Hopefully we get an opportunity to get one in hands, try it out, see what it's like. But I'd also love your feedback. And one thing you talk about, right, this time of year, what are you looking for a gift for the golfer who has everything? How about one of these? How about like the story he talked about doing something solid for your grandfather or your father who may have had one of these in his bag? Maybe your father had one that was a hand-me-down from his father. Go get that refurbished. Maybe get a different one and bring back those kind of sentimental things. That's what this time of year is about, right? Family and sentimentality. This seems like a perfect thing to get into the hands of the golfer that you love most. So go online, check it out. Let me know what you think. I look forward to catching up with Steve 6 months from now and hearing the great things they're doing. All right, my friends, it is time for me to put a bow on this special edition of Next on the Tee. My sincere thanks again to Matthew Lawrence and Steve Strano for being here. Now, scheduled to join me next time are 3 very special people who will close out this season of the show with me, starting with former PGA Tour pro and now one of the best commentators and storytellers on the planet, Charlie Rymer, will be back with me. Our wonderful friend and one of the most amazing ladies on the planet, Susie Whaley, will be back as well. And then rounding things out, one of the all-time favorite guests that I've had the opportunity to get to know and become friends with on this show, and a great player in his own right, Hal Sutton, will be the last voice that you hear for Season 12. Folks, I want to thank our friends again over at the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review for hosting this show on their site and being wonderful partners. For coverage of everything going on in Western Pennsylvania, including your favorite sports, go to triblive.com. You can then find the show by clicking on the Sports Section tab, and right there, front and center on the homepage of the Sports Section, the most recent episode will be right there for you. Or you can click on Sports and then Podcast Network. Then you're going to see the Next on the Tee logo. Click on that, and many of the most recent episodes from this season are right there for you as well. But as you know, you can pretty much find Next on the Tee anywhere you get your podcast content, particularly out on Good Pods, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, golfnewsnet.com as well. But folks, as always, my biggest thanks go out to each and every one of you for being the greatest supporters in the history of podcasts. I appreciate each and every one of you so very much. Until next time, hit 'em straight, my friends.
Thanks for joining Chris again this week on Next on the Tee. We hope you enjoyed the conversations as much as we did. Please share the show with your golf buddies, and be sure to follow it on TribLive or your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. Thanks for pressing play and being part of the journey. We'll see you next week, right here, where the best minds in golf share their stories.